Hello and welcome. My name's Angie Holden and I'm the blogger behind The Country Chic Cottage. I hear from many of you that have issues with small, intricate cuts out of vinyl on just about any Cricut machine. Today I'm going to give you my best tips and tricks for making small cuts with your Cricut. So these are small, intricate designs that you might want to cut from adhesive vinyl. I'm going to use a project of making bookmarks as an example. However, this same procedure would go with any project that you're making or you want to make a very small design cut out of vinyl. Thin lines, small intricate cuts, that type of thing. So let's take a look at the supplies I'm going to use. To make bookmarks, you would need bookmark blanks. Now these came in a kit with these tassels and they're actually made for sublimation. They're acrylic bookmarks. However, I do not like how they sublimate, so I'm trying other projects with them. Weeding tool, transfer tape, vinyl of some sort, whatever vinyl you're going to cut. Small cuts are great for scraps, so I have a bunch of scraps laying out here. A brayer and a light grip mat. So now let's look at the tips and the tricks for cutting vinyl with small intricate designs. First, you want to stick the material on the mat well. So a clean mat. And then I always recommend a brayer. So this will do wonders for your cuts. Most of the time a bad cut is actually the material not being on the mat very well. It doesn't have anything to do with the blade itself. So getting your material down on the mat will save you a ton of headaches. So I would start with getting your material on the mat. If you have issues with the cut at that point, I would recommend cleaning the blade first. So pull the blade out of your machine, press the plunger, and the blade will come out. And you might have things stuck to the blade. The best way to clean that is just to kind of poke it into a ball of aluminum foil, and all of those little bits should come right off. Now if your blade sticks in the aluminum foil, just put it back on the housing, release the plunger and pull out, and you should be able to remove it from the foil. Once your blade is clean, you can try your cut again. As a last resort, you can change your blade, but remember that is a last resort. Usually sticking it down to your mat or cleaning the blade works perfectly. The next thing you might want to do is change your cut setting. So this top piece I cut on the vinyl setting, and this bottom one is a setting that you might want to try, and that is the washi sheet setting. If you can tell on this top one, the center of this R actually came out, so there's a white spot there. That was on the vinyl setting. So you do always want to try, at least, to pick the setting for the material you're using. So in this case, I was using premium vinyl, the permanent version, and that's what I chose. However, I wasn't happy with the fact that I lost the center of my R. Just by changing to the washi sheet setting and clicking more pressure, I was able to get that R back into there and make it stay in my vinyl. Now when you pick the washi sheet setting, I do recommend picking more pressure. And if you're on something like an Explorer Air 2 where there's fast mode, turn that fast mode off. Speaking of the Explorer Air 2, or any machine with a dial, you will have to turn the dial to custom to get settings like the washi sheet setting. When you're picking a material setting in Cricut Design Space, I do want to remind you to always pick that which is closest to your material type to start. So if you're using a glitter vinyl, for instance, you would not use the washi sheet setting that I'm showing here because it wouldn't cut deep enough unless you change it to 2 passes. So you can do a few other tricks to still use that setting with your Cricut machine and those small intricate cuts. What if changing the settings isn't enough? So on this version, I cut this with the vinyl setting, and it's a little stack of books with a ton of detail. And the vinyl setting just literally tore this up. Like it was a huge, huge mess. Wasn't usable. So then I moved to the washi setting, and this version is with the washi setting, and it did better, but I am still missing a ton of small pieces and the cut is just not good. So in these cases, what I usually do if I am set that I want to use this design is I go to the Cricut contour feature. And with the contour feature, I remove some of the smallest pieces that are in my design. With a design that is super small like this, those small dots and things like that, I'm probably not going to be able to weed them out anyway to make them usable in my design. So I might as well contour them out and not cut them at all and get a better cut on my vinyl. So this is a result of using that contour feature on that little stack of books, and I just have one small little area right there where I'm missing a piece. Now I could just go with that, which that's what I'm going to do. Or you could go back into Cricut Design Space and try some more contouring to get it just perfect. However, this cut is way better than what I started with the vinyl setting and the full image. So contouring out can really save you when you take an image and really size it down to super small. So fonts with extremely small lines, thin lines, won't work as well. So if you can change your font at this point to get a better cut, you might want to consider that. The other thing I wanted to mention about design is that fonts, if you're going to use a font, a thicker, chunkier font is going to cut better and is going to weed better in smaller sizes. Now when you're weeding these small vinyl pieces, I do recommend to go slow, and you might have to work your weeding tool around each of the letters or each of the pieces in your design just to make sure that it releases completely as you peel it back. So I would just peel it back slowly, making sure each little piece releases from your design. And you do need to be patient. The smaller you go, the more patient you'll need to be. And so I just go slowly, picking up each of the little pieces with my weeding tool. This could also be a place where if you have a really large design that you might want to use weeding boxes. And I have another video on how to use weeding boxes, and I will link to that in the description below this video. As an alternate to traditional weeding, you can try reverse weeding. So I have my piece here, has not been weeded at all, and I can add transfer tape to it at this point and burnish everything down really well. Now I like to leave a lot of transfer tape around the outside edge with this method, but you can do this however you would like. So you can peel the backing paper back first, and so I have everything on my transfer tape. Now we can peel back the vinyl surrounding my design. So you can just kind of peel back, and it leaves your vinyl, the cut, onto the transfer tape. Some people find this easier than traditional weeding, especially when dealing with those super small cuts. So this is an alternate that you can try. And then I'll just use a weeding tool to get all those small pieces. For more traditional transfer, we're gonna add the transfer tape to the vinyl that's already been weeded. And especially for things like this that are small, you just wanna carefully peel back the liner. I like to peel it back all the way on top of itself and just watch and make sure all the letters are sticking to the transfer tape. And then once you have it on the transfer tape, we'll just put it on this bookmark. Now these bookmarks are clear. They had like a protective coating on them, and I just removed that off. We'll just stick that down. And then we'll just burnish it really well. And then we'll peel the transfer tape back, again slowly on itself, about a 45-degree angle, just watching to make sure everything sticks. And then you can just burnish the vinyl down, add the tassel to the hole that's already in the bookmark. Then you have a cute project or even a gift idea. So now all that's left is for you to give these tips and tricks a try on your next Cricut project. So when you're cutting vinyl and you have a very small design and you're struggling, you're very frustrated, be sure to reference back the tips and tricks in this video, give them a try, and make those small, intricate vinyl cuts for your next project, whether you make the bookmarks I've shown or another project idea you have in mind. So if you have any questions about anything we've covered, drop down in the comment section, ask away. If you liked this video and it helped you, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, head on over to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. We have videos just like this one every single week, and trust me, you don't want to miss any of those. So thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.